All right. So, oop, did not mean to do that. For anybody that is watching this on a VOD later on YouTube, we did this on a live stream, but people wanted to see kind of how I build a deck from scratch. Let's go ahead and go through. Yeah, Zach, I'll go through it after I get through with this. So, people wanted to see what a Dissidia tribal deck would look like if I were to build it. I always try to start with the backups, and no, you're good, Zach. I'll get to it. um, so I always start with the backups. The Dissidia tribal deck wants to be tricolor. It's fire, wind, ice, which is a really weird combination. There's a couple options to do that. I'm not super high on this Bart's, but it does have its uses. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. So this gets us access to a Dissidia character, which is kind of nice. It means that we can run Pinello in our backups. So I'm going to use Pinello Vaughn for wind and fire. I don't think any Dissidia Vaughns are super great. And then I know the other thing we can get one copy of Kate Sith, which gives us an ice backup we can search off of Bart's if we have it. I think there's still an argument like Shinryu is DFF. Decks can come from chat. I don't mind that. Actually, I'd probably prefer that, so I don't have to go dig up the spreadsheet. I haven't looked at the spreadsheet in a while. Just been really, really busy with stuff and haven't had a chance to really do a deck sage. I think if you're going to run this Bart's, probably 2 copies is good. You could run Shinryu instead, but since we're doing a DFF, let's give this Bart's a good run. I'm going to run 1 copy of Philo as well. Kind of enables some fun stuff if we want to do that. So we need more ice, probably. We can do fire into ice, potentially. It's a weird one. I'll have to think on this. Fire into ice, you have Mont Blanc into Hurdy. But you have to do that immediately, so it's not like my favorite backup engine, even if I do really like Hurdy. There's Miyu Tono, which is not DFF still. What category is Mont Blanc? Those are, it's, I think, pretty sure it's a TA2? Yeah, TA2. Okay. So we could do Miyu Tono. I could do Norstalin Ute, which I don't hate. I could do Emina for the Ice Moogle. I kind of like Emina. It's a little annoying because it means that my ice isn't searchable with this, though. Let's do 1 copy of Emina so I can get the Kate Sith. And the fire one actually makes ice, so probably actually want to run that for a little bit of extra color fixing. Okay. Norse for Euchre Lilt. Yeah, that's like the other option. I'm trying to stick with a little bit more DFF, but it's really annoying that Bart's can't get like Cosmos or Materia. Meath could be... actually, Norse Meath could be nice, too. I'm going to have to clean this up a little bit, I think. Alright, 16 backups. It's a little high. Go down on the philo. I don't really think I need the water, but it could be nice, I guess. And cut the Emina entirely. That gets me to 14 backups. That's probably enough. Okay, so then we go into... We need to be generating crystals, and we're not making them with our backups, which is a little unfortunate. Ooh, actually I might want to bump the Philo to 2, now that I think about it. That gets me Nordstalin, 1 Uke, 1 Meath. Meath lets me cycle a Bart's in hand, which is really cool. Okay, so... this guy is the reason we're in wind entirely. Like, there's just no other reason to be in wind. Generates so many freaking crystals. Let's pull up all the starter cards, actually. Let's see which ones of these I actually like, now that I think about it. This was the 21 starter. Tidus is good. We don't have any extra form of bounce, so I don't know how much I really value that. Cecil, I don't really value very much at all. Terra's really good. I like Shantoto, although she's going to conflict with the Crystal Shantoto, so that's a weird one. Therian's great. Onion Knight's great. So, what else do I want here? I'm on 32 cards. I'm in a Fire Crystal deck, so I definitely want Cyan. Let's clear that. Like, Cyan seems like almost a 3-of here. It gives me a board wipe and a lot to do with the crystals. Probably go down a copy of Terra, down a copy of Shantoto. Cost DFF of 3 or less. I'll do the thing. Oh, what's the... It's Helena, right? So we need more wind cards for sure. I think Helena could actually be really good in this list. How am I deciding number of backups versus forwards? It depends a little bit on the deck. Usually I almost always will start with 15. It's just kind of the go-to number for like my average mid-range deck. If I'm doing something weird, like I'm really trying to focus on control, you can go higher. If you're really focusing on aggro, you can just say I'm going to focus on almost having none. But if I'm playing a general normal deck that's intending to play like a relatively normal game, I would almost always start with 15 and then go up or down from there depending on like how it's feeling. Let's get some summons in here as well, for sure. We're in fire. Let's just throw the 3 Mots in. If you're in fire, you just throw the 3 Mots in every time. And then things get tricky. I'm kind of figuring that out as I go. The question, if anybody's watching this later, is I want to make a DFF tribal. Am I going with the win condition, or do I figure that as I go? I know that a lot of these cards are independently powerful, which is kind of what ended up happening with Knights, actually. Very weirdly, like, Knights was a deck that I don't think any of the cards read that crazy, but when you did all of them together, like, this deck, if you stick the Warrior of Light, he's actually relatively difficult to get off the field, and then once he's on the field, I should be swimming in crystals, like, pretty crazily. So it's kind of a weird hybrid of like powerful cards that have the DFF subcategory, and then crystal payoffs like the Cyan, the Helena. We probably run Crystal Bahamut in this. You know, if I wanted to go full Tori Kelly, Realm is category DFF. And I do have the Phylos to play it. Probably run at least a copy or two of Crystal Gem Bahamut. One copy of Lulu actually is a really nice thing to pull out of the deck. With Onion Knights, I think we run at least one copy of it. I'm a little annoyed there's no recursion in this list, really. Oh my god, Shantoto cheats are in. That's so funny. Win Cecil is DFF. That's another one that's really good. I actually wouldn't mind being a little greedy. Running a copy of Glaciella. Sarah Mobius could be fun here as well. But I think from here, I would want to focus on mostly trying to flesh out the summons. Ice summons are not particularly good, unfortunately. How many wind characters am I going to end up typically? Norstalin or Pinello? Warrior of Light. So Dryad's not very good here, unfortunately. We should always run at least the one Alexander. And we have a lot of options for what to run in this last slot. Actually, I like it's funny, the wind summon I think is actually very slept on. If you have a crystal, it's a 1 CP Chocobo. I don't hate Azura here at all. You get back the Zidane or the Therians or the Warriors of Light. No burst is a little scary. But I'm not really sure how we can play around that. Instead of the Shantoto, oh man, it's so annoying that both Shantotos are just nuts good for the DFF. I think we could run 2 copies of Paladin Cecil. Princess Goblin for Princess Sarah. Ooh, we do. Oh, yeah, we're low on ice. That is the other thing. I feel like there was some good. Oh, Vincent, I know is DFF. This is a crazy thing to cheat into play off of Onion Knight. You kind of just play the Onion Knight, cheat this, freeze 3 backups. We are very heavily skewed towards fire. Go to 2 Cyan. And I have room for probably 2 more ice cards. I don't hate the Noctis from the starter. We should always have a DFF forward. He's huge and just break something. How do I decide on the number of copies of a forward? I usually am going to start at 3. Especially for any engine payoffs, like Warrior of Light, Furion. Those are reasons to play the cards. And then, to play the deck entirely. And then from there, it's a matter of kind of okay, what do I actually want for the rest of this? This Terra, for instance, needs other cards to function, so I think she's an okay card to play at a lower number of copies. Right? Same thing with like the Noctis and the Helena. Like these are like really nice cards, but they're not like necessary to play the deck. But always you probably want to start with 3 copies of a card and then kind of work your way down from there if the card is important. Lulu's at 1 because I don't have a ton of summons, but I want access to her off of the Onion Knight, for instance. Yeah, Lightning Ramza only getting cheated into play makes me not really want to play him. This is about like a decent-ish starting place. I might want to look at like the card's not very good, but just for color fixing, you could run a copy of Maria. This gives us a DFF Ice Wind forward, which is actually kind of nice. It gives us a little bit of extra color fixing there. So we are still a little low on ice overall. But I think that this like gives us enough ice where we should be able to get the first ice back up into play. And once you get the first ice back up into play, this deck should function, I feel like. You also could just get lucky with Helena and hit the class 9th Moogle. Lock is DFF. I just don't know if we... can we cast multiple cards in a turn? Because it is a DFF forward. You have to cast, what, 2 cards for Lock to be worth it before playing them? And go Helena, free cast, like, something, and then go Lock. That's probably good enough. It's probably better than Maria overall. I'm going to do the thing. I'm cutting the Zidanes down. So what I would do next, Garrett, is what I'm about to do right now, which is... I'm going to run a couple test hands. So this hand, I have multiple backups, so I would absolutely keep this hand. He's probably better than Maria. Yeah. So right here, I can go... Pinello... Oh, sorry. Draw 1. Pinello discarding... Do I have multiple Philos? I do. Probably Amaterasu, and I really don't want to ditch the Warrior of Light. It's like the most important card in the deck. And then you can just grab the Vaughn from the deck. So we have a fire card. I'm not sure. I've actually never used the full thing here. We could play the Vaughn here, discarding the Cyan, to give us a nice smooth curve for the Warrior of Light next turn. So let's do that. Activate, draw, draw. So right here, we can either go Warrior of Light, or we can go Bart to get our Kate Sith. Would be the other option. I like just playing the Warrior of Light here. Get our first crystal in. And then activate, draw, draw. So then here we can go Bart's. Bart's, we get a second crystal with our Warrior of Light. We get the Kate Sith, discard a Vincent. We have all 3 colors in play. Just kind of play from there. So the curve actually was really smooth for that first hand. So let's go ahead and restart. Let's take another look. I mean, I'm opening Pinello like my job depends on it, so that's nice. So here, it's probably like Glaciella, Pinello for that. Oh, I haven't done my Limit Break deck at all, but that's fine. So yeah, keep that. And yeah, so Pinello for Vaughn, play the Vaughn. So that, we can discard this. Oh. Did I need to put that in the LB deck? Ah! And then let's get like... It probably has to be... I want to try the Helena, but I don't have a Crystal Gem, so... We'll ditch the Glaciella, we'll go in the deck. We'll get the Vaughn. And I don't have anything easy to play next turn off of the cards in hand. Because there's not really a way to shuffle, it doesn't look like. I could play like the Furion, but the Furion doesn't kill anything next turn. So let's just go ahead and activate draw. And then there's the punish right there. There's the Philo. Let's just ditch the Furion for the Vaughn. And then... Oh, I hit restart on accident. I mean, that's pretty good. That's got the Pinello again. But... yeah, then from there, I would probably have to take it into a game. Like, I'm seeing the curve work pretty consistently. And I mean, I've got a lot of really solid engines for the backups. Yo, what's up, Kendall? Then let's go for LBs real quick. We're in ice, so Victoria for sure. LB. Search. I think entry effects are kind of important, so we need the one Leela. Could run one Leo. Don't have enough water. I can't run Tidus. I don't have any lightning. I think that's going to be the LB deck. Oh, no. Can't be that. So it's that. Oh, Zach, sorry. Should have a... Zach, probably a Zach in over the second Leo. Yeah, this is what I would do for the LB deck. Does anybody want to hop in Octagon to help me test? I'll run a game against this. At work, yep. Alright. That would be the next step anyway, would be to take this. And, like, I don't know if this would be amazing as is. Like I said, I would probably need a lot of work. I don't know if the win con is quite there, but, like, in theory, this deck does have a lot of what you would want in a mid-range deck. I have a lot of removal. I have sticky forwards. I have independently powerful cards. It's just a matter of if this actually gels. And it might not gel. Like, that's totally possible that this deck doesn't do enough on its own, and that's fine. I do think this deck is kind of cool. We get to use some cards that I think have a lot of potential that just aren't going to see play for a little bit. Like I said, I think Helena's a really powerful card. But what's playing Wind and Crystals in the same deck, right? I think there's an argument that the Bart should be Shinryu, in which case we can actually cut a lot of our... we can swap our backup engine around. We could run like the Princess Goblin engine instead. Go like Princess Goblin, Princess Sarah, and Warrior of Light, which is like a really good like combo. But there's an argument to like increase the number of summons. This is a very forward-heavy list. I'm on only 2 EX bursts. This deck has to function as is. If I'm against an aggro matchup, it needs to be able to handle that by itself. It might be able to, honestly. Like, there's a lot of really, really potent cards in here that can kind of be good anti-aggro. Cards like Cyan are really, really nice for that. That's another argument for maybe running the Shinryu over the Barts. But... I've got to try plus deck type and it matches. Yeah, and again, this is one of those things where when you build decks like this, there's no guarantee this deck will be good. It might not be. But the cards are independently strong. I know the curve is there for the backups for a mid-range deck to where it should consistently get its colors online. Outside of maybe Ice, at which point we just bump our Ice cards up a little bit. And then it's just a matter of kind of running it through the gauntlet of decks. Can this beat... Um, probably the first deck I would run it against is something like Monks. Monks is a deck that plays relatively fair mid-range game, and it's like, it's not top tier, but it's decent, right? Soiree might be another one to run it against. And then, if it does okay in that, I would then probably say, okay, can we out-aggro like a Win deck? Or how does it fare into like Giga Wall? Like, but I would almost always start it off against like what I would say is a mid-range-ish fair deck. It's what I did with actually Knights. If you go in here, I've got this deck saved, so I'll probably put this in the description later on. Where is... all kinds of stuff in here. Da, 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 da. Where is it? Knights, there we go. When I built my first Knights list this set, this is what I did with it. Yo, cheers, Sarangi. Hope you're doing well, friend. But I legitimately went like, okay, well, Kurilla's really good. I know Ramza's good. What are the other Knights I can play? I will tell you, this does not look like a meta Knights deck at all. There's some stuff here like the Jilna bot. I was like, I don't know, let's try this, I guess, and see. I'm trying to figure out. But again, you see a lot of the very similar deck building concepts, or at least to start. This is not how Knights are played now, but this was when I first started playing. I did this, ran it into a bunch of other mid-range decks, and it was winning. And I went, oh no, Knights might actually be a real deck. And then the deck won in Japan, and it was like, oh, Knights are a real deck. Good to know. But you see here, it's a very similar concept even. I have a tribal fire, water, ice list over here. Sarah gets me access to Princess Sarah for ice. I have the Ovelia. I have Edgar, so I can get like Princess Sarah, get Edgar, Edgar play Ovelia. Yeah, I thought like, well, I can red 13 in Kurilla and then have her go away and then play her again. So there's like interesting ideas here. I have my favorite filler ice card. This Shiva is literally free. But like I said, this is not a good Knights list, but it functioned and it got me to kind of understand what the cards do. I would not take this to a Materia Cup or anything, especially not with how Knights are built now, but I remember the first night I played this, I gave this list to Travis. So I was like, well, I've got a couple decks built and I wanted to playtest. You know, I wanted to playtest like Knights and Dragoons. This list beat all of them. So by curve for backups, I'm looking for consistency. I've got 15 backups, but if you look at this list of backups, if I open Sarah, I know that I get access to at least 2 colors, right? And Sarah plus, like, Edgar means I have access to all 3 colors. Or Sarah plus that. I just know that I'm going to consistently get my cards down. Yeah, you know, it could be alright. Unironically, it might be something that Knights players should consider. But yeah, so I expect looking at this, like again, looking at my opener here, I have this hand is great. I have a Class 4th Moogle and a Novelia. I have 2 cards that give me my backups if I want to curve out backups. Curving out just means that like turn 1 I want to have a backup, turn 2 probably get me to 2 backups, turn 3 then I need to be able to play forwards or backups depending on the situation, right? I have enough different names here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different names. So I know that I'm not going to brick on names, but I'm going to also pretty consistently get everything I need out of these, right? Let's do another mulligan here. I would probably mulligan this, or sorry, restart. This has Sarah. I would always keep, you always keep a hand with Sarah. It's a nice thing about Sarah. This would be a mulligan probably. I need to stop hitting mulligan instead. This hand's not amazing. Draw 1. You probably just play the red. You could red in the Gawain. Gawain get Ramza Karilla. It'd be kind of funny. Right here, I have Avelia Princess Sarah, so I have a really easy turn 1, play the Avelia, turn 2, play the Princess Sarah. Right here, I have a class 4th and a Karilla. I probably would keep this hand. This hand, if I'm trying to play backups, I would mulligan this. And I have Sarah Ovelia. This hand is amazing. Right here, no backups, not much of anything going on. It's mulligan. I have the class Moogle plus a Ramza plus a Garland. Draw a card. Seems okay. Kind of what I do when I just I look at hands and say, like, does this hand do what I want to do for the first couple turns of the game? If it does, if I always see these backups like this and I'm trying to play backups, then I feel pretty good on that deck. Alright, let's go ahead and cut the recording there for the local recording. And